There was a time when the internet felt like a promise. A place to discover, to connect, to be heard.
We did not lose connection.
We lost trust.
Today, information moves faster than ever, but trust moves slower.
We are more connected and more divided.
But what if we could begin again?
What if privacy came first?
What if identities were protected?
What if technology served people instead of people serving technology?
Open networks, protected identities, verified humans, transparent rules.
Not less freedom, more trust.
Because democracy depends on conversation.
Science depends on trust.
And our future depends on understanding one another.
The digital public square
should belong to the public.
Built on openness.
Protected by privacy.
Designed for people.
Built in Europe.
For the world.
This is W.
Welcome.
Great. Welcome, everyone. That's a bit more like it. That's a bit more like it. I hope that's for W and not for me, anyway. Look, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, physically and online. Yeah, this is a big step that we're taking today in the story of W Social. It's a new social media channel for humans built in Europe, as it just mentioned there on the film. Why are we here in the Brussels Press Club? Because we like press clubs, yeah, and this building has launched many interesting announcements, important breaking news for journalists and for guests over the years. And in keeping with this, we too have some big announcements to make today, and we're really excited about it. And we're making these announcements at the heart of the European Union, which we hope will excite you, inspire you, and if you're a journalist here, you might even write about it, which would be fantastic. My name is Nick Nuttall. I'm a journalist. I was a former Times of London award-winning journalist. I won't say what the awards were for, they weren't that big. But for nearly 2 decades, a UN communications director and a spokesperson, and today a presenter on the digital global channel We Don't Have Time. And I'm just going to say a bit of housekeeping. We are going to have questions from journalists, both online and in the room if they're here towards the end. We'll also take questions from guests as well. And also from people online. So if you are out there in the world watching this on the YouTube channel of the Brussels Press Club, you can ask a question over chat, and a colleague of mine will be able to feed those into the discussion later on. What's on the agenda? Well, it's there. What's happening today and why now? We're going to have a product demo. We've got an expert panel. Why is a new social media needed? We've got questions and answers later, as mentioned. And also we have the W Team Advisory Board, which will be fielding those, as well as with our CEO and our chairman of W Social. And then there's drinks, there's snacks, and there's a bit of mingling. So actually we've got everything on offer here at the Brussels Press Club. Let's welcome our first speaker. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Anna Zeiter. She's German, so I have to pronounce the Z with a tss. You know that, don't you? Yes, okay. She's a passionate advocate for digital integrity and the urgency to counter disinformation, which I hope many in this room share. She's a lawyer, she's an academic, she's a former chief of privacy and vice president for data and AI governance at eBay. And for the past 6 months, she has been the CEO of W Social. Anna, come on down, come on up. What is W Social and why is it today so especially exciting to talk about it, and what landmark are we announcing?
Thank you, Nick Nuttall. I think I come here on stage. Hello. My chairman said earlier that I'm a pretty short person, so he asked me to come on stage. So W stands for many things. It stands for Wednesday, it stands for World Championship, but it also stands for welcome. And I want to welcome all of you today, online and here in the room. This is for us a very remarkable day because we are launching the beta version publicly, and we would like to share this event together with you. When I met Ingmar, the chairman of W, the first time on Zoom, he actually only showed me one slide, and after 5 minutes I was convinced that we need to address this topic and that we need to work together. And this is actually the slide. Imagine a continent without its own major social media player. So there's a gap. Who in the room is using LinkedIn? Me included. Who in the room is using Instagram or Facebook? Me included. Who is working for TikTok or is using TikTok? Still included. Who is using European social media? Okay, a few. But you see there's a gap here. And when Ingmar and I met the first time, we thought we want to fill this gap, and we want to do that together. But what's the issue with this gap? Let's take a closer look. So the situation right now is, and we just saw that in the room, that many of us are using social media coming from other countries outside of Europe. We are giving away the revenue. We are giving away our data. We are giving away our attention. What are other countries and companies outside of Europe doing with this data? They're training their models. We are getting in return content, sometimes functionalities, but as we heard a couple of days ago, not all functionalities anymore. We're getting in return misinformation, also targeted disinformation, and especially at scale with AI bots and through AI bot farms. And I don't know if some of you have already seen how these AI bot farms look in practice. We all agree that we don't like them, but nobody has addressed this issue so far. This is one of these AI bot farms. Sometimes they look bigger, sometimes smaller. Hundreds or thousands of smartphones being steered, targeted to a direction that we don't know. We want to change that, and we want to bring back humans to social media. And we all agree that this is not enough anymore to prevent that AI bots are joining social media. I think we all agree that AI agents and AI bots are smart enough to answer that question. We all know the more sophisticated version of the 9 tiles. We need to count motorcycles or traffic lights to prove that we are human. This is why we invented over the last couple of months something a bit more sophisticated, the human verification tool. This is a separate app, the W Identity app, where you can verify yourself as a human, but there are 3 ways to join W. So first, you can join W with read only. You don't need to verify. You're allowed to follow content, you can like, you can read, you can explore the platform without any verification. But as soon as you want to participate in the public opinion building process and you want to share content, you need to verify as a human. There's even one step further. If you decide I also want to share my identity, you have even a couple of more advantages. We will prioritize you in the feed. Like this, you're in full control if you want to verify or not, but we make sure that only humans can participate in the public opinion building process. Why did we develop our own technology? Because we want to offer something which is available globally, not just in one country or one region, but globally. And also we want to develop a technology where the data is not hosted centrally in one database, but actually decentralized on your all devices, because this is what I learned in 11 and a half years at eBay. The less data you have, the less data can be leaked or breached. Who are we? This is the core team. We are experienced executives, entrepreneurs from the tech and media space. We are based in Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, and the UK. Earlier today, we actually opened a small office in Brussels, and very soon we open another small office in Paris, because we want to make sure that we cover the main markets in Europe pretty early on. If those people are in the room, please stand up or wave your hand. Ingmar is here, the chair, Mats is here, myself, Lisa is in the background, then Johan, Mario, the CTO, is working like crazy around the hour, around the clock. Hugo is also here. The interesting piece is we are bigger than that. We have 20 people in total, and the tech team is based in Ukraine. We have a world-class advisory board around us with experienced people giving us advice in the space of technology, media, AI, civil society, politics. We also have regulators on board, as you see, and some of these advisory board members are also here. If you can also wave your hand, and some of you will be also on the panel later today. We are owned in Europe. Many people ask how we are being financed, who is behind W, who are the investors. So we are backed by 80 Europeans from 10 different European countries. Some of the investors are in the room, not all 80, but some. Hopefully we get coverage in more European countries, because this is actually a project that cannot be done by a small group. And this is why we're very proud. And these investors include executives, entrepreneurs from different spaces, and you can speak to some of them later today during the snacks and drinks. What is the business model? Many people ask, are you for profit or non-for-profit? How do you want to make money? Yes, we are for profit business model, and the two revenue streams that will come in the future are advertising. You know that from most of the other social media platforms, like classic advertising, but in a compliant way. We are incorporated in Sweden. We're working closely with the Swedish Media Authority, with the Swedish Data Protection Authority, with the European Data Protection Board, so advertising in line with GDPR and DSA and European advertising guidelines. But then we will also offer micropayments, so that users have the opportunity to buy articles for small money and not always the full annual subscription. Let's speak more about numbers. So this is actually the amount of euros that Europeans are giving away each year to foreign companies in the social media space. This is the amount of advertising revenue per year, almost 47 billion euros per year. Europeans are giving away because they give away the attention, the data, and this is why they also give away the advertising revenue. We want to reverse that. We want to bring the money back, but not necessarily all to us, to the entire ecosystem. And what we want to do, we partner with main media companies in Europe, and we will give them back of up to 70% of this advertising revenue, because we want to make sure that we support quality journalism in return. This model can only win if we win all together, and we bring media on board just from the beginning. We are already in conversations with 10 or 20 of the biggest European media houses. We already brought on board some of them, as you see in a bit, but we are happy to talk to more. So if you're interested, speak to me later, and we can have a conversation as well. Who are our users? This is pretty impressive. So we were also surprised when we counted the number of countries. We have 50,000 people on the wait list from 175 different countries. We were very surprised, because first we thought, okay, the users are coming from Europe and maybe a couple of countries here and there, but this is actually almost the entire world, which also shows that there's a real appetite and interest worldwide in an alternative. You're part of something bigger. We thought about that from the beginning. How shall we start? We don't want to start with the empty disco problem, Ingmar, Anna, and our 20 friends. So this is why we joined the so-called AT protocol. Some of you know that. There are other social media communities on this AT protocol. And like this, we can connect to over 40 million people from day one. There are almost, I think, 4 million posts per day. That means we don't start with the empty disco problem. We can connect with these people from day one. But what we do differently than most of the others, we are in Europe. We have the infrastructure, the data is hosted in Europe. We are incorporated in Sweden, in the European Union. We are under European laws. We are working, with European regulators together from day one. And also we are owned in Europe, and by governance structure, only Europeans can own the company or can own a part in the company and have voting rights about the company. And this is what I want to reveal today. This is actually big news. I want to share you a picture of people who already joined W over the last couple of days. I don't know if some of you already saw von der Leyen's Instagram post 2 days ago. These leaders and institutions have already joined W over the last couple of days. We have the European Commission, the European Central Bank, the European Council, the European Parliament, the European Committee of the Regions, including all their leaders. More leaders are being onboarded as we speak, not only from a European perspective, globally and also on national level. We already onboarded the first media companies, the first media partners, among them very big media houses from France, Switzerland and Germany. You can see AFP, couple of media outlets from Ringier in Switzerland, Spiegel from Germany, Heise from Germany, and Springer Welt from Germany as well. Many others are joining soon. We are in close conversation with media houses in the Nordics, in Poland, and in other European countries as well. But not only the leaders are invited, we want to bring everyone on board. Everyone is invited, family, friends, all of you. You're one of the first users if you like to join. So we want to bring on real people, people from academia, science, entertainment, arts, cinema. So everyone, comedians, everyone who likes to join, tech, business, everyone is welcome. Also all age groups. People sometimes ask me what kind of age groups are we targeting. Actually everyone. And this is also what we are reflecting in the advisory board. I recently counted, we have 6 different decades of people in the advisory board, which is a good sign. Real conversation, real people, real humans, and a shared reality. One last point on me, for me on that. What we want to do different than most of the other players in that space, we want to bring people out of their filter bubble. Because I think we all feel sometimes the frustration that we are stuck in the filter bubble, but we want to know what's really going on in the world. We want to understand what the real world, what everyone is talking about. And Ingmar, the chairman of W, will give you soon a presentation how that looks like in practice. Thank you.
Super. Super. Thank you very much indeed, Anna. Next speaker is Ingmar Rentzhog. He's the co-founder and chairman of W Social. He's also the founder and CEO of We Don't Have Time. If you know We Don't Have Time, it's a digital climate change TV station with millions of viewers in over 150 countries. Ingmar, we've heard of some of the unique and impressive features of W Social and some of the overall aims. Today, you're going to announce some other world-beating features. So over to you. Okay. Over to you. There it goes.
Thank you, Nick. Okay. Great presentation, Anna. Seeing is believing. And now I'm going to do the hardest part, launching a product. I'm going to do a live demo. We have, I will not name this very brilliant advisor on our advisor board, but we have a lot of knowledgeable people helping us build this. They know a lot more about how to do global things like this than we do. That's why they are our advisors. So a couple of months ago, we had this meeting, and there was this one person from one of the world's largest tech companies on our advisory board. You can't guess because we have several. Anyway, he said, before launch, you must freeze the code at least 2 weeks before you do a presentation. It's crucial. We understood the advice, we didn't follow it because we are rushing things, and we actually deployed what I'm going to demonstrate to you like 2 hours ago. So we have 2 hours of freeze. So let's see if this works. So this is the platform, and if you're accustomed to like X, Twitter, other microblog platforming, it's kind of, you have a feed. You can comment, you can like, you can post things. Here is Anna, for example. And what's unique with what we are launching, we're not launching from scratch. We're launching with this open 80 protocol. And that's important because open always are winning against closed system. And I think this is a beginning of a big revolution where it will not only be us doing things, but many players. And that's good. That's how we win towards the closed system. Anyway, what you can do here, you can actually choose different feeds. So you can kind of find someone that create a feed and you can choose their feed. So it's much more democratic in that sense. And one feed we have created for all users is the feed with the W users. And here is only the users on our space. So here we can see a lot of things from leaders, but also anyone. I mean, democracy is about having a conversation between citizens, not only the leaders. That will be quite boring to only have politicians, right? So here you can even see people posting, dogs. But the big difference from other platforms, you can go and check the profile here, and we can see that it's actually a human that posted a dog. It's not a dog posting a dog. That's a big difference, actually. And what is special with our platform, I think I like this dog, actually. It's kind of cute. We have cats also, for everyone that wants to know that. So this is, I mean, we will send an invite to everyone here, and we will start onboarding people. You will be prioritized number 1. So you can explore this yourself. But the most important thing I want to show you is actually the feed that is not a feed. It's something completely different. And we call it the trend machine. This is get out of your bubble and see reality. And when you do innovation, you can either do something much better, much more, much bigger. Americans, they are great at doing things like super big, extra large, we all know that. But we Europeans, we are not that big, so we like to play a little bit smarter, I will say. So what we have done is to innovate in the complete opposite direction. This is get out of your field. And what you see here is what people are actually talking about, caring about globally. So what we can see, we are scraping the internet with help of AI in real time. What are people posting on other social media? What are people searching for in search engines? What are journalists writing about? And we scrape this information, we process it, and we can see a top list. So number 1 trend right now in the world is Messi's hat trick. That is what people care about. This is not my feed. This is the feed for everyone on the platform. It's the reality feed. So I can click on this and I can read news about this topic, the hat trick, fantastic, and I can even see it. Isn't it kind of cool? And I have a confession to do. I'm not a sports nerd. My wife, she is. And my kids, they are playing football. I'm not the biggest sport nerd, so I was kind of, what? The whole world, the only thing they talk about is football. Iraq versus Norway, Austria versus Jordan. Here, trend number 5, Messi red card debate. I need to kind of scroll down here. Is some Japanese things, and this is globally. So it's not, I mean, English is not the global language. This is what people really care about. But if I want to see what people in my country care about, I press on Sweden here. And here is also here is that hat trick again. Okay, and last time I checked, I actually went through a lot of countries, and I found a country that is not into sport. Finland. They're into Trump. That's the most trending news. They're into Kansancha, Toshe TV, I don't know. So they are not so sport interested. This is kind of interesting finding, right? So you can explore a lot of things. You can also explore Europe. So let's see. Here's the whole continent. What are we talking about? Football, of course. But it's a massive fall discussion, so here is some disagreement around that, etc. This is something that we only have begun develop. It has so many use cases. We want to add music trending. Now we have countries in global and Europe, but we also want to have your city, your neighborhood. What are they caring about? This is how we bring people together, not divide people. We can argue about different things, but we need to have a common reality. And we can also see what people are actually, caring about. I'm not so sport interested, I care about other things. So for me, example, I care about nature, climate. And here we see that the most talked trend is actually the strongest El Nino. And I can even see the heat wave, people talking about this. We can disagree on things, but this is what people care about. And this is not only going to show real things. I mean, if people care about cats, they will show up here. But at least we know that people care about cats. And as you saw, that's not really the case. People care about what unite us. Football, things that we have in common, not things that we are fighting in our filter bubbles. So this is what we bring to the table. And I survived the live demo. Now I need to get out of the live demo. And I think I survived that as well.
Well done, Ingmar.
And
Is that
so
it?
Summarize
Okay.
what I just told everyone. Why should you move to W? Why should millions of people move, not only the European Union? I will say, talk with real humans. If you want to have a platform where you can talk to humans, we are a good starting point. If you want to read your news in your own language, we don't have that yet, but we're developing it. I mean, we in Europe, we are very diverse. People talk different languages. So with the help of AI, you will be able to read the media partners we have, their news in your language. That open up a joint worldview and share knowledge in a whole different way. And you can also do it with paywall articles. And you get out of your bubble. You see what people are interested in. I'm not a football nerd, but for me, that's an eye-opener. That is trend, not just trend number 5, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But not in Finland. Maybe I move to Finland. And we store the data in Europe. But we're also open on an open platform. So if you don't like to store the data, you can take the data with you and move somewhere else. We're not locking anyone in. We are making we are locking you in because we're making a better product, not locking you in because you can't go anywhere else. And you can trust your feed. So if you want to learn, engage, and have fun on the internet again, W is the answer. But I have a disclaimer. This is where we met for the first time, the full team developing W in December in Stockholm. We had this big plan. We were going to develop W in stealth mode, don't tell anyone, and we had 12 months timeline. But the very same day, during the dinner, when we have kind of agreed on the plan, X were fined by European Union, and Elon Musk released a tweet. I hate Europe. He didn't say that exactly, but he said, I want to divide Europe. And that's my objective. And we thought, we can't wait. It's bizarre to have a platform where European leaders talk about Europe, and the owner of that platform wants to divide us. So we released the public beta 6 months before we were ready. The demo I just made, it didn't work 2 hours ago. I was quite stressed. But now it works. It will probably break again. So bear with us. We're inviting you to the house while we're building it. Not because we're ready, but because we don't have time to wait. Thank you.
Right, okay. We're going to have to move a bit more swiftly now because I think we're slightly running over time. But let me start now with a short expert panel about why this social media channel is needed. And can we have Sherry Aldis with us of the United Nations Regional Information Centre for Western Europe? Come and join us. It's like a EasyJet or something. It's free seating, so you can just come up like that. And let's have Paul Radu, co-founder of the Organised Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. Great to have Paul coming. And also Jan Sherman, one of Sweden's most respected journalists and a media leader. Come up here. He's wearing this hat, you might think he's a golfer, but he's not. He's actually a respected media leader. So come on, Jan. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's start with you, Sherry. You work as the director of the United Nations Regional Information Centre for Western Europe, UNRIC. It's part of the UN's Department of Global Communications. The UN, one can't not notice that the UN has been really engaged recently on this whole issue of disinformation. And I would say one thing, I think what unites many people in this room and many people outside from different sectors and different backgrounds is a sense that people are telling us a lot of porky pies, fibs, not telling us the truth. In other words, disinformation. Tell us what you were trying to achieve in terms of the UN.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, everybody. It's a wonderful thing to see today, what we're here to talk about. I am from the United Nations. We work on what we call information integrity, and I think I'm going to insist a bit on that because that framing is quite important, and W has its place within that ecosystem. We really look at how we can make the information ecosystem healthier. We want to aim to have an information ecosystem where everybody can access reliable information wherever they are and really firmly grounded in human rights. So that's the way that we frame it at the UN. It means that we need to look at social media platforms, but also traditional media. We need to look at academics. We need to look at AI actors. We need to look at advertisers. And we need to look at governments. So really, it's a multi-stakeholder. That's a bit of a technical UN term, but it's a multi-stakeholder approach that we absolutely need. And it cuts across all of the issues that the UN deals with. It cuts across national and international issues, democracy, public health, human rights, peace and security, sustainable development, and threats to information integrity. So when we talk about mis and disinformation or hate speech, we're talking about threats to information integrity. Those things are eroding trust. They're eroding our democracies. They're creating harm for children and other vulnerable populations. We're weakening the media and public trust in institutions, which is also very important, of course, the United Nations, is really being undermined as well. So it's something that the United Nations has decided to really become involved in. We also see expert voices being targeted. We see offline and online. So there's really not a safe space for people who are trying to speak truth to power and bring the science to the public. So you might have seen this last year. The UN released its first global risk report. And guess what the #1 risk is? It's mis and disinformation. It's the biggest global vulnerability. So the UN, as the biggest international institution in the world, has to be very involved in this. It's undermining, as I said, all of the things that we work on, the issues that are most important and even vital to all of us here, like international peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights. So we have been working on this for several years. We started in COVID. I don't think that we were alone in that. When we noticed that people were losing their lives because of mis and disinformation, it was a public health risk, and so we decided to come at it from two angles. One was to provide scientific, factual information to everybody in every language we possibly could cover everywhere in the world, and the second one was to provide some media and information literacy training so that people would be equipped to be able to identify what was true from what was false. And from there, we learned a lot from that experience, and we built upon that. And in 2024, we published the UN's Global Principles for Information Integrity, which really is a set of 5 principles and very concrete recommendations for all stakeholders, including social media platforms. I think you probably have read it because I see quite a bit of the content, recommendations from that in the various aspects of W Social. And we also have published 2 policy briefs, one on implementing the guidelines or the principles, and most importantly, one on advertising. because advertising is where the money is, and that seems like a really good angle for us to tackle. So we are working very closely with the advertising industry on that as well. So bringing us back to what we're here to talk about today, really what the issue is that it's such a huge challenge. We're up against very well-funded, very well-organized entities. We won't make progress unless we do it together. Everybody has a part to play. That includes social media platforms. It includes, as I said, governments, media. All stakeholders need to be involved, and anybody who is working on digital transparency, data protection, upholding human rights is a very welcome initiative. So, yes, thank you for having me.
And just lastly, and very briefly, and the United Nations itself comes under attack as well from disinformation. I remember my time there that people would say it's a massive brawling bureaucracy. Millions, billions are being spent on it. And then if you strip out peacekeeping, what you've got left is a tiny, tiny civil service trying to deal with all the world's problems with a budget that's quite equivalent to, say, the entire budget of a city like Berlin. And, you know, but the disinformation works in a very different way. Anyway, Sherry, maybe we'll come back if we have time. Let's go to Paul now. I mean, one of the W social aims, as we just heard a few minutes ago, is to support, to defend quality journalism, given its role in protecting democracies, but also in building democracies. And as you alluded to, Anna, we want to have some kind of way in which people can pay to read articles without taking the whole Financial Times subscription of €500, but reading one that they want to read for, maybe €5 or €3 or whatever, which is a cool idea. But let me introduce Paul here, because Paul is co-founder, Paul Radu, co-founder of the Organised Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. And this is a very interesting project. If you think about the Panama Papers, which some of you have heard about, this exposed, tax havens and who was sliding their money into different places. That was brilliant. So you were behind that. Tell us why you're interested in W Social. Tell us a bit about what you do as well in terms of your organisation, and then move to W Social, Paul.
Thank you, Nick, and hi all. So the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project is the largest investigative reporting network in the world. We're targeting the criminal, the corrupt, and we're quite efficient against the criminal and the corrupt. We've contributed through our investigative work to the recovery of more than $11 billion from this type of bad parties. We're actually joking at OCCRP that investigative reporting is more lucrative than cocaine trafficking. And that's because truly our ROI, our return on investment, is about 10,000%, which is great. But this work is done by thousands of investigative reporters on 6 continents, and a lot of this work is powered by the ecosystem that was created by OCCRP in the past 18 years. So we will not only post first on W Social, and we are for which we are very grateful, for this partnership. But our interest in W Social goes way beyond posting. We are interested in amplifying investigative reporting. We are interested in developing a new wave of investigative journalism. So OCCRP has built this ecosystem that's made of compute infrastructure, that's made of various ways to protect journalism, digital safeguards, legal safeguards, and because investigative reporting is an edge industry, and we had to harden ourselves, in many, many ways. So this is what we're bringing to W Social, a place where citizens can be inspired and can use tooling developed by investigative reporting to become themselves citizen investigative reporters in the public interest. So again, thank you for this partnership, and onwards. Thank you.
No, well, we're very grateful that you joined us, because you're such an awesome network that it's just brilliant to have you with us. And thanks. In a sense, we feel like we're being endorsed by one of the best investigative journalistic networks in the world. Thank you very much indeed, Paul. We haven't finished yet, but we are now turning to Jan. Jan here is has had a long and glittering career, let's put it that way, as a journalist and in the media debate, really for over 50 years, not just in his native Sweden, but in other parts of the world. 55, there we go. I said over 50, that's good journalism, isn't it?
I want to be precise.
Okay, fine, okay. It's over 54 years as a... And you were also part of the team that launched TV4, which is Sweden's first privately owned national television channel, and later served as its CEO for a decade. In recent years, Jan has focused on the growing threats to democracy with acclaimed documentaries, including Long Live Democracy and Make Democracy Great Again. And Jan, you've seen a lot of change and a lot of new technologies come into the media space. But why, in your view, is this moment in time right now like no other?
Thank you for that question, and I try to answer shortly, but I don't know if I will manage. First of all, I must say I heard that Anna entered W through a one-page slide or something like that. I entered thanks to a breakfast that was given to me from Anna and Ingmar, and I think it took me 15 minutes to say I must join the party. And the reason is, you know, I've been working, as you said, more than 54 years in the media business, and I think during all that more than half-century time, I've been something like democracy activist. I have also been investigative reporter. And what is democracy then? Democracy is not a question of freedom of speech. It's not only a question of voting. It's also a fundamental way to communicate. We can talk about this square where we all meet. And on that square, normally in a democracy, we have some sort of respectful dialogue based on facts or on opinions, but we know who is sending what, and if it's facts or if it's an opinion. Now, this square is dominated during a 15 growth period, I would say. It's dominated by the big five and maybe the six, if you count TikTok. But it's a handful of companies. The turnover, as I've been a CEO, I know a little bit about the balance sheet and the P&L and the profitability. They are having a turnover of, listen to this, $16 trillion. If you take the planet, I'm talking about the turnover, if you take the planet and every single country, that pass through the GDP of every single country, except from United States and China. And if the business model for this is driven by lies, fake news, polarization, pointing finger to each other, dividing people, dividing nations, that puts a tremendous pressure on democracy. So what we are doing today, I experienced a lot of changes from analog TV, from satellite TV, to mobile TV, to the day streaming. But today, I must say that I have never faced a moment quite like this, because this is history. This is an option. If we're going to let the square be guided by those greedy business plans that promote lies, that will smash the democracy, or if we decide for ourselves, let's make a try today. Let's make a try to pull back democracy where it needs to be with a respectful, trustworthy dialogue. That was the short answer.
And
you want me to change cup?
No, no. Actually, no. I know that you told me earlier that you preferred tennis, actually. Yeah.
Yes, I had in the beginning of my life a promising tennis career, not like Björn Borg, but mostly.
Okay.
Left-handed, by the way.
I never had a promising tennis career, but I wish I had. But just last one question on this, really. I mean, do you think that the concept of handing back the algorithms that is sort of partly at the center of this story with W Social. At least you have control over the algorithms, right? If you want to, as a citizen, is important because these algorithms are not innocent little free-floating pixies or elves or sweet little, you know, grandmas or anything like that. They are you're quite animated by the algorithms, aren't you?
It's really decisive. I would say it's more or less a tipping point for this, because I mean you can simplify it to two kind of things. Human beings must be proved they are the people communicating on the platform, and not strange figures or aliens or whatever it is. Second thing is that algorithm is also human promoted in a specific direction, and we are all cheated. We are all cheated. The thing we heard now is a more trustworthy truth way to move it according to what democracy demands. I really hate when you make everything complicated so that you can't see the forest due to the trees. I think what we are really demanded to do is to simplify the problems and the way we must solve them. And you have pointed out two very important issues. That's the way to do it. I think this is not only a PR trick to say that algorithm is something really scientific, the true way to measure what is popular. It isn't. It's bloody big lie.
Also, conversations can't be completely driven by profit, can they? I mean, there has to be more to life than just profit, right? I mean, profit's okay, useful in all kinds of ways, but the conversations that are basically loaded with a profit margin, and this is what is going on a lot of social media, is that correct?
I mean, imagine as being a former stock market guided CEO, a person come into my office and say, I have a brilliant business idea. I've created something here, a platform. The content we take from I produce the content, and I invent some sort of technical system that will cheat all the audience to promote specific things that I like, hate, lies. And then, you know, the turnover doesn't it's not handled in my pocket. I send it away to United States of America. Do you think I would have said, yes, great idea, let's go for it? It's a bankruptcy way. And the bankruptcy is targeted to democracy. Excuse me for getting upset, but this is totally crazy.
This, yeah. We're going to have to wrap up a bit here, but just quickly, is this a relevant point I'm asking, or if not, then think of something more interesting?
I just want to add a very brief thing. I mean, on most social networks, people work against their own interests. This is the reality, from their data to whatever else. And I believe W Social can be finally the place where people can work in their own interest. So that's I think it comes down to this.
And respected as a human being, worth as much as anyone else.
Yeah, good point. Sherry, last thing goes to you.
So on the business model, right, it's again, that's why we're focusing on the advertisers, because that's where the money is, and it's really skewing everything. So we're asking advertisers to ask for transparency from the platforms. And the other part of that is the funding that is being pulled away from traditional media. And so I was interested to see that also there's part of what you're doing that is about giving back to traditional media. So those are the two things I'd like to say about the business model.
Which the people who criticize traditional media call it mainstream media if it's somehow boring, you know what I mean? That's another the way the words are loaded to make people think differently about what they should have as values, yeah. Look, I'm sorry. I mean, these are all great conversations, but I don't want to keep people from too much alcohol happening in about 30, 40 minutes. So we're going to have to move on to the next bit. But thank you very much, Sherry. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Jan. Very much indeed. These are all good points. And if you could now leave the stage. No, Jan, you can stay. You're staying because you're with the advisory board. Sherry and Paul, thanks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick hello from the W Social Advisory Board, followed by the Q&A session with journalists and with guests. So we're getting to that moment. Big drum roll coming. And I want to welcome Ingmar and Anna back to the stage. And I'm going to move across here because there aren't enough seats. And I'd like to welcome on the stage, because you need an advisory board if you've got something as important as a new social media channel that has values or is intent on having values and doing the right thing. And we've got with us Sandrine Dixon de Cleve, who is, well, so many titles, but I'm only going to mention 50 of them. No. Honorary President of the Club of Rome, Executive Chair, Earth for All, and Founder Co-Chair of the Systems Transformation Hub. We've got Eric Ringertz, okay, founder and former CEO of Netlight. We've got Christophe Leclerc, he's the co-founder, Europe Media Lab and Euroactive, and Jan, who is with us again because he's also a member of the advisory board as well as being a previous speaker. And then, this is really complicated right now because we don't have enough chairs, so I want him to come round to where I am. Where is Mats Pelbeck-Sharp? There we go. And Mats is the former head of sustainability at the tech giant Ericsson. And he's also co-founder and board member and is spearheading the government relations for W Social. Where are you going, Ingmar? You're going to be, oh, I see. We're now chair building, are we? Okay, we're not just social media building, we're chair building. Okay. He's a good gentleman. Well done, Ingmar. And who's going to go there on the fancy seat? But yeah, but doesn't Mats then block out Jan? Or does Jan have to crane his neck round the corner? Okay, you stand up. That's a good plan. All right. Okay. Quickly, 1 minute. Sandrine. Okay. Why did you join the advisory board of W Social?
Well, so I'm going to take a bit more than a minute. I'm sorry. First of all, because I think that Anna forgot to mention some of the other words that W stands for beyond welcome. It stands for we don't have time. It stands for the world. It stands for being whole. And it goes against the way in which tech bro feudalism has actually not only taken our data here in Europe, but divided us so thoroughly that it hacks humanity back into not only social media, but actually the way in which we start to talk about digitalization. I don't know if anyone saw yesterday the reaction from kids in the fact that they actually could not be on social media in the UK above a certain age. Did anybody see the reaction? Half of the kids interviewed said, thank God. One said, when she was asked, what are you going to do when you actually don't have to be on social media? She said, I'm going to stare at a wall. What this does is it gives back humanity to those kids. They can go onto a platform, we can go onto a platform where we feel that we can be trusted in the exchange that we have. Sherry, you mentioned the fact that policy leaders and others do not feel actually that they can go on and be honest in terms of social media. Having been attacked in so many different ways personally, having been told that a simple video on Europe could not be shown on Instagram because it was inflammatory and political. This is a moment not only where we're starting a new social media platform, this is a moment where we're taking control back for Europe and for Europe to show leadership in the rest of the world. That is why I joined W. That is why I believe that this is so valuable. The fact that you have been so honest, Ingmar, in indicating that you have decided to go faster, even if it's not perfect, is a perfect depiction of what we're trying to do together. People, complacency is complicitness. We are in the midst of a 1930s moment. This is not just about social media. This is taking back what is ours, our democracy, our information, our being proud of science, and our being proud of being Europeans. I speak to you with an American voice. I am French-Belgian. So I will conclude with that. I hope that was forceful enough. Thank you.
Very forceful indeed. Very forceful indeed. But I don't want any other advisory board members to think they can, you know, go beyond the 1 minute. So just, yeah, look me in the eye before you start. Sorry, Anna, you can say anything you want.
To add on that, this is not working. This is working.
Well, I forgot to mention earlier. So we decided on purpose that so we check if someone is a human and above 18. That's important. So we decided that on purpose. We don't want to have young teenagers on the platform. They are not allowed to interact. This is point number 1. And point number 2. I come to that in a bit. It'll come back.
Okay, when it comes back, you let us know. Oh, yes, let's go to Eric. Eric, very, very briefly.
It came back to my mind.
Okay, it's come back.
Sorry,
Very
it
briefly,
was a long day and a long
Eric.
night. So the idea is not that we want to bring people on board that they're doom scrolling. That's not the point. So my vision is, if people ask me, what is your vision for W? People shall come in the morning and say, what's going on in the world? What's going on in my country, in my city, in my neighborhood? And maybe they come back in the evening and say, hey, what did my friends post? I want to get, I want to check something in the media. So it's like about quality interaction. It's about very dedicated time, but it's not about doom scrolling and keeping people in the endless loop. So we decided on purpose, sorry, now it came back, it was a long night. No teenagers under 18 on purpose and no doom scrolling. It's about meaningful interaction among humans.
And some dogs, right? Because there are dogs.
And cats. Let's not forget the cats. All right, good. Eric, Netlight. Just briefly, what is Netlight? Because I introduced you and mentioned Netlight. Some people might want to know what Netlight is.
It brings us directly to why I'm here, I think. Netlight is a digital consulting company, and I've founded it more than 25 years ago, to stay with those terms. And that was sort of last millennium, in the beginning of the internet, when it was still fresh and everything was connected and trustful and all. So I come from the old internet. So I'm team human in the digital. So that's where I come from.
And what do you feel your role is on the advisory board?
My role is sort of, as being in this company, my experience comes from, like, we've been around helping all sorts of European unicorn companies to become successful. So I play a bit of a role as kind of knowing a lot about tech companies and how to grow a tech company, both technically, but also I know very much about how to grow a culture that is of a self-organized organization. Like, for now, this is still a project. This is a great project, but I mean, this is supposed to be built to last, and sort of that I know a lot about. So I hope I can provide that as an advisor.
Good. I'm glad you stayed under 3 minutes, as I recommended. Christophe Leclerc. He's founder of the policy media Euroactive, or Euroactive. Yeah, there we go. Founder of that, and of the think tank Europe Media Lab, and he's a media entrepreneur. Christophe has worked a lot on media policy versus disinformation. What does W Social mean to you?
A lot. I'm the local guy here. I will stay under 5 minutes, don't worry. Indeed, a lot of people know me as the founder of Euroactive. Often I wear yellow colors. Why do I wear a different color now? And why do I, a news media guy, help the social media, which is the adversary since 10 years of the news media? I do so because they will succeed. And let me explain why. They will succeed, first of all, because we need a democracy infrastructure which is not controlled from the outside. And it is not by regulating only that we will do it. I'm addressing a policy audience here. You did a good job in the last mandate, but it's not enough. Now we need to build those infrastructure. Second thing, ethics. How can ethics be a business model? Well, we organized a conference in January, Stars for Media Day, and we had great advertising gurus there, and they explained, well, we don't necessarily want to be associated to clickbait and to all kinds of horrific stories. We want to be associated to interesting, factual content, to good content, because we have brands that we want to develop. And this is something I know also from the Euroactive days when we had sponsors. And the third thing is journalism. Why should journalism help W Social to be a success? Well, there was some allusion to that. You have talks right now with big media groups. Big media groups have enough of having to work with the GAFAMs. They cooperate with Meta, Alphabet, etc., because they have to. but they have been stolen their content, copyright now, AI, etc. It's horrific for them. And here is a chance to build a new ecosystem with European trusted social media and the big media groups and the small media groups from Europe, a new ecosystem which is part of a new democracy infrastructure for Europe. That's why I'm wearing those colors today and in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, yes, everyone's, yep, there we go. There we go. Well done. Okay, questions. We've got, okay, wow, the hands. Can I, I was just about to come to that 1 second. Jan, you want to say something? Yes, absolutely. Okay, sorry, and there's Mats. I was just going to come to Mats. I was just say.
And this goes for 60 seconds. In my CV, I forgot to mention that I'm an honorable member of the Swedish Sausage Academy. Having said that, I would like to refer to Jean-Paul Sartre. You inspired me. He have a long discourse in the book Existentialism, where he says, if you don't care and just become a follower, you have an option. You have also made a decision. You have made a decision to be a passive follower. So what we are in now, and that refers to everyone here, you have an option to say yes to W, to move on a new route, or you will be a passive follower of a route that leads to autocracy and catastrophe. That was 59 seconds.
Jan, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, it was my mistake. Mats, I'm so sorry. Mats Pelbic-Sharp, why would a head of sustainability or former head of sustainability for a big tech company join a social media channel as, a member of the board?
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of years ago from Ericsson, we were part of We Don't Have Time's broadcast. And on that same day, Elon Musk bought Twitter. And then I turned to Ingmar and said, Ingmar, we cannot continue to broadcast over Twitter. We have to have a different platform. And Ingmar said, it's impossible. No one can do it. So fast forward a couple of years, and then we had a discussion in October or September, October last year. And then it is possible, thanks to the AT protocol. And I think that is maybe not because we need that to grow so much, but because when we bring on other people and can tell them that they reach 40 million people and they have a lot of content, that's their sort of way of accepting to step in. I think that is super important. And I think the reason why I really sort of burned for this, and when we started this off, we said we have to verify humans. And that has been sort of a lot of critique and discussions over that. And I think if you're lied to, you are lied to by a person, and not in 60 times out of 100 by a bot. And it's a huge difference because there is a person behind that lie that you can discuss with. And maybe it's not a lie, maybe it's an eye-opener for you. So I think it's super important that we have people. And also if you're advertising, you have a person. The problem for X right now and others is that 60% of their revenues comes from bots, reading and commenting to bots. So they cannot move over to the model where we are, where we have humans. And the value of that is much higher. So those are the reasons why I really believe in this. And I think that is super important for W moving forward. Thank you.
And there are 6 billion humans out there, so we are the many. Yeah, we can win. Right, questions. I hope are you a journalist? Then please fire away. Have we got a microphone, a roaming mic? No, because we like to pick you up on the YouTube as well.
But I need my mic, guys, so Johan, if you can help.
Thank you. Razia Akoch, AFP News Agency. Thank you for this event. I just had a couple of questions. I know nothing about the AT protocol, so I just wanted to check. It's all about European, and it sounds like tech sovereignty is kind of part of the argument of what you guys are doing. But I just wondered, is there any usage of like American technology to help you because of the AT protocol? I just wanted to check, just to be sure, like it's not that working with the Americans is a problem, just to make sure that it's very difficult. I did have more. I just also wanted to know, how are you going to make W successful? And please take this in the curiosity that it's intended, but the network looks very similar to others. And as someone that used to be on the way that Twitter used to be, it's kind of, many of us are not that excited about that. You know, Blue Sky came and it tried to do some of what you're trying to do, but less of the European angle. So I'm really like, what's the USP of W? As in, I know you've listed many things, but like, why will it be successful where Blue Sky didn't quite have the same, like as Twitter? And Twitter also, by the way, just in terms of numbers, it's not actually the most popular social network in Europe. So the written word is not that interesting these days. People are more video and whatnot. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. This is not working. I take this one. Thank you for the question. Very good questions. So for those who don't know, there's AT protocol. There are already other social media platforms or communities on it. Blue Sky is the biggest one, the largest one. Then there's Eurosky and Ganda, I think from Canada, Black Sky from the US, and now it's us. I think there are several smaller ones as well. And I think the arguments you said, there are several arguments for different people, there are different arguments. So, and you alluded to the first one. For many Europeans, one of the reasons is right now to have their data on European soil. This is one argument for many Europeans, not for all of them, but for many. And interestingly, we received over the last couple of weeks and months, many hundreds, I would say thousands of messages from people who are like, we are supporting you, great. It was time, hurry the hell up, we need you. You bring back hope, you bring back pride to Europe. It's so interesting because first when you expose yourself, the first ones are the haters. But the first ones who came to us were the supporters. And that was so heartwarming to see. That means there is some kind of need and appetite in the market. Some people feel the same about AI bots. They feel some other legacy platforms went down in public perception because they have so many AI bots. And we recently heard some numbers, I don't know if this is correct, that X has already over 50% AI bots. I don't know if this is correct. I heard the numbers from different sources. But that means we have the beauty and the chance, the opportunity to start from scratch. So for other legacy platforms, it will be very difficult to change back and to dial back. Imagine Elon Musk would say, oh, I want to ban all the AI bots. Everyone needs to verify as a human. Guess how many % of X users would do that? Maybe 5%, maybe 2%, we don't know. We have the opportunity to take the learnings from the last 10 years of social media use globally and turn that into something better and more innovative. So then third, you said Blue Sky is a bit boring. I think one of the reasons why we feel that, some of us feel that we have in the US this two bipartisan system, which also reflects in social media. You have True Social in the more Republican space, and you have Blue Sky in the more Democratic space, which means you have also there two bubbles, and they're not talking to each other. What we would like to build here is something more exciting. And excitement comes when you have different people talking about different opinions on the public square, the digital public square. And I think this is what will make it more interesting, because we want to bring on board, as you probably have seen, media from different political angles, politicians from different political angles. Also, if you look at the advisory board, people with different backgrounds, different political opinions, even among the 3 top shareholders, you have people who are like more on the progressive side, more on the conservative side, more on the centralist side. So this is by design diverse. And then we are also, as Ingmar said earlier, we are innovating. So this trend machine, bringing people back together, not bringing people more in their filter bubbles, bringing the public square back, making it more interesting. And imagine this is just the first beta version. And I think it's pretty cool with the trend machine. I'm super interested what's going on in Germany, what's going on in Switzerland, what's going on in my neighborhood very soon. So, and this is just the start. What I would also like to see soon is like live debates, live events. Can you imagine that, having live debates about political topics live on the platform where people can debate, vote up, vote down, ask questions, and give feedback to leaders directly. So it's just the start. Very good feedback. We will take that, but to summarize, there are different reasons for different people, and we try to combine some of them. Of course, there are different players in the market. We will need to see how everything plays out. I think we have a very good value proposition here, very good USPs we can offer, and let's see how everything plays out. But I think the start was very good.
I think it's a bit like football. I mean, the football looks the same, but when I kick it, it doesn't go in the net. But when Messi kicks it, yeah, you get a hat trick in the World Cup. So don't be fooled by how things just look. You know, it's what's underneath the bonnet. Yeah. You want to say something very quickly here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, don't mistake the exodus from X to be simply going somewhere else and not going to Blue Sky or another platform. What I've just seen is that tens of millions of people have left X also because of the fact that they don't agree with Elon Musk. That's the first. The second is the public square is fundamental. Data in the United States, but also data in Europe across rural communities and villages now increasingly shows that when you take away benches, bars or cafes and bakeries, you see an increase in populism. To be able to have a space where we can have a public debate, because villagers can no longer actually gather and see each other and have that debate space, is fundamental if we want to regain deliberative democracy across Europe.
Next question, gentleman here. No, there's a microphone coming your way.
It's coming!
It's coming too.
Oh,
good. Bring it on.
Giambo Picelli, Bloomberg News. I have also a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first is actually on financials. You mentioned 80 investors. Can you give us more details about who they are, how much money you have raised so far? Will you be releasing a list of them? If not, why not yet?
Yeah.
Second question is on the name, actually. Don't you think, in a way, you're conceding the argument by getting the letter is just before X?
That's just a coincidence. So I'm happy to so first I start and then I hand over to Ingmar. So W stands for many things. So the largest shareholder of W is We Don't Have Time. Ingmar is the CEO and founder of We Don't Have Time, the world's largest social media platform in the space of climate solutions. So this is why the W stands for We Don't Have Time. W also stands for the world and for the most important questions in investigative journalism. Like what, when, why, where, who. I mean, the fact that it comes in the alphabet just before X, I would say it's pure coincidence. So regarding the investors, we have 80 investors from 10 different European countries. 2 of them are actually on the stage here and are public about it. So there's Christophe Leclerc and Sandrine Dixon de Clèves. I'm an investor, Mats is an investor, you are an investor. There are many investors also here in the room, mainly from the Nordic region, because the company was born in Sweden. Then I joined that club. So now we have from 10 different European countries investors, and most of them themselves either working in the operational team or are entrepreneurs in that space as well. So maybe Ingmar, do you want to add something to
Yes, I signaled that we forgot we had the wrong background slide here. Here is the panel, and what you can see here, that is also who has invested. So what you have on stage are actually a few of the 80 people. And we are maybe a little bit different from many other companies that have like the tech brew, owning 50% of the companies and 99% of the votes. We are building this with many, because if you have many owners, you need to do things collectively. If one of our owners are going crazy, it doesn't matter. But if we have the main owner going crazy, it matters a lot. So we can give a list of some of the investors that are allowing us to mention their name. Not all wants to be in media because they haven't invested in us because they want to be public. They have invested in us because they believe in the business model and they believe in what we try to achieve. But it's very much people with money and resources that believes in this, and we can double our amount of investors if you're interested. So you can join us.
Can you give me a ballpark figure how much you have raised so far?
Totally, we have raised about 12 million euro in We Don't Have Time. That's the foundation for this, and about 5 million euro in W.
So close to 20. Well, yeah, that's my maths, but I didn't really get a certificate. Didn't get a certificate at school. I mean, I got it wrong with Jan, how many years he'd been in journalism. It was 55, and I said over 50. Let's go to another question. Any more media got questions? Any more media? Any more media? There's a media over there, lady. Yes, I've seen her now. Yeah, okay. Hello.
Thank you for the floor. I'm Lea Marshall from the podcast media Europod. I have a simple question. How do you intend in practice to fight disinformation and also hate speech? Because I understand that bots are not allowed to interact. Humans do, but their ID is not necessarily verified. So that leaves a small room for disinformation and hate speech. Thank you.
Yes, very good question. We take that very seriously. So since we are incorporated in Europe, we need to comply. We want to comply with GDPR and also with DSA. And one of our first users was someone from the Swedish Media Authority, our DSA regulator, and they just announced they want to join us with 70 people soon. They want to be first adopters. So we have built together with amazing lawyers, they're sitting here in the first row from Cooley, content moderation system which is compliant with DSA in Europe, but also with the Online Safety Act in the UK. So you have this classic model. If you see a post, you can click on the 3 dots, and then you can click on a post and say, look, I want to make sure that this post is being flagged for several reasons. For example, because it violates law, or it exposes pornography, which we don't want to have on the site, or is misleading. And then we have an internal team of a couple of people that is reviewing these posts and decide what to do with that. Either we take them down, or we give a warning, or we suspend an account. And we also do, besides that, this is reactive content moderation. We also do proactive content moderation. Soon we will have an AI bot, yes, on the W site, but which we be labeled as an AI bot. And we still need a name for that WAI bot. If you have a cute name for that, please let me know, because Wally, I think we might have some IP issues here. But so we are looking for that. That means, jokes aside, we are doing proactive content moderation, reactive, and we do that in compliance with GDPR, DSA, and Online Safety Act.
Could
and
you
if
just
you
tell
want
me
to
what
talk to the experts, they're sitting in the first row.
Could you just clarify what is DSA for those that maybe
Digital
don't?
Service Act, sorry.
Okay,
Digital
thank you.
Services Act, General Data Protection Regulation, and Online Safety Act.
Ingmar. Can I also add something to that? We don't like hate, because hate creates, it's not nice with people hating each other. So that we will moderate if it's fretful hate, etc. But if someone posts something that is not true, we are not going to be the police, because truth is what we debate, right? We need to allow different opinion. I mean, personally, I'm very involved in the climate cause. But of course, if you're a climate denier, you're absolutely welcome to W and debate it. So it's not about censor, the wrong opinions, etc. And it's not always the case in social media. I'm a heavily user on social media. One of the biggest influencers in Sweden in LinkedIn, for example. I'm quite big on other platforms as well. And I know sometimes what I write doesn't end up. It's just ghosted. We don't want to be that. We want it to be, predictable. So no hate. But if you have a strange opinion, you're welcome to express it. But maybe people will, debate you. That's the whole point.
Christoph. Christoph first and then Jan. Christoph?
Yes. 8 years ago, I was on the so-called high-level expert group on disinformation, one of the groups which triggered indirectly a lot of the different policies on how to regulate the internet, etc. It also indirectly helped DSA, DMA, etc. Basically, the American big tech platforms missed their chance, because at the time, they had the opportunity to self-regulate, co-regulate, influence the regulation, etc. They committed at the time to introducing in their algorithms what so-called trust indicators. They committed black on white. I remember the negotiation. They were worried. They were checking with the lawyers. Yes, it's doable. It's technically not an issue. They committed, and then they didn't do it. That's why I said earlier, regulation is good. Keep going. Most of you are involved in that one way or another. It's not enough. We need our own infrastructure with people who really believe in doing that and not just being forced by lawyers. Let's do it.
Good point. Jan.
To your question, I think this is a very sensitive issue because on one hand, we must take care of the freedom of speech. That's a fundamental thing when we talk about democracy. So there is not a simple answer to your question or a very concrete and simple solution. It's something that we really work with ambition to solve. Hate could be so many different things. So I think to be aware of not pass through what is actually freedom of speech, that must be very extended. Opinions must be very extended, and sometimes opinion can come very close to what I experience as an individual as very hostile. So let's not try to find a simple answer to the question. Put more strength on that from the very first beginning in the culture of this company. We work with the issue to find a better way, but I think that will differ from year to year and develop. It's not so easy. You have the final and exact concrete answer because this is a balance act.
Anna, okay, thanks very much. Okay, yes, is it a journalistic question or is it a guest question? We've got any more journalist questions so we can get through that. Ingmar, we got anything online that we need to just address?
I mean, it's so many comments online, and not all of them are directly questions.
Well,
but let me see here.
Okay. Well, whilst you're dealing with that, we could take a question over here, and if you find one, then it's the next one, right? The lady over there, then. Lady over there, you had your hand up? Yes, please. A microphone there, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Sophie Intveld, former member of the European Parliament. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on this this initiative, and I'm very pleased to be here, let's say, amongst the early adopters. But you mentioned compliance with European law, which is actually even one of the selling points, if you want. The problem is that as a certainly as a new market entrant, you need a level playing field. And we know that in its deep desire to please Donald Trump, the European Commission is actually barely enforcing the law on all the big players in the market. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to make sure that there is fair competition, that your voice is heard, and how are we collectively going to make sure that our European laws are being applied strictly to all the market players?
That's a very, very good question. But I mean, to say that, to comment on that, first we focus on ourselves. So I think the first step here is to make sure that we are compliant, we follow the laws, and that we bring on board the leaders, the users, everyone, family and friends, you in the room, whoever you want to bring on board. Then the media houses, the content. So I want to make sure that we build something in a good way, in a sustainable way. And then I think it would be amazing to showcase that even with compliance, you can be more successful, maybe as successful, even maybe more successful and attract more as being not compliant. I think this is also an interesting case for Europe to showcase that regulation is not always a bottleneck, it's also a chance. We have some ideas to turn European regulation in a smart way into competition. We can speak about that maybe later during a drink. This is not something for now to be disclosed, but maybe later this summer. We have some ideas how to turn things around in a very smart way, that we maybe can get some content back, some data back, because there are the legal bases in GDPR and in DSA about, for example, data portability and such. So now, since we have players in the European market where you can port your data to, that could be a good opportunity to use European legislation in a very smart way to drive innovation, speed and relevance in the European market. And this is why we have so many privacy and data professionals on the advisory board, because we need this expertise going forward, not only from a government relationships perspective, but also from a legal perspective, to be very smart about the European ecosystem, to play with that along, but in a very smart way, also to drive competition and drive value.
Okay.
Very good question.
Sandrine, very briefly, and then Christoph, very briefly. We've got room for maybe one or two more questions maximum.
I have a question.
Well, okay, I'll come back to you, and there's a gentleman here as well. So, Sandrine.
Yeah, I appreciate the question around the level playing field, and I think it's one of the reasons why we haven't seen a lot of movement in this area, in particular around European digital sovereignty, and it's the biggest complaint that we have, all of us who are working in the EU bubble. But I want to say, do not disregard the importance of giving a signal of disruption, full stop. That's what this is. This is a resistance movement. This is saying enough is enough. And I think that's fundamental. And I think we're all part of this. This is not just a party. This is not just a launch. This is about a march. This is a march towards a new truth. We are regaining control, not only of our data, but the way in which we want to interact with data and the way in which we want to understand what truth really is in the 21st century. So I think it goes beyond a level playing field. But that said, I'm trusting the lawyers, the way in which Anna and her leadership is taking this forward to really make this a formidable counter option to any other social media platform. And in addition, let us not forget the conversations that many of us are having with the Chinese, with the Brazilians, with the Indians, with many other countries that are watching Europe and watching now W and saying, wow, we have another opportunity, because this is a platform built in Europe for the world.
Christoph, thank you.
Well said. Sophie, as you know, policy is not limited to regulation. So what you say is true, and I support what has been answered here, but it's not enough. We need to talk about industrial strategy. It's really about building a sector. It can include regulation, but many other aspects, for example, public procurement, for example, training, all kinds of things, maybe some innovation money, not straight subsidies, innovation money. Why do I say that? Since 1 year and a half, since the return of Trump in the White House, there has been fantastic progress on industrial policy for B2B technical sovereignty. So it's cloud, satellite, AI, which is a bit broader than B2B. For social media, very little. There are 2 EU documents where you have a paragraph on social media, which is a democracy shield. There is not very much else, actually, if I'm caricature. And then there is the apply AI strategy. But some of us hope that on Friday, the leaders are meeting here, and finally they will get to the next stage. It's not enough to change the way governments and companies supply their software. One should also think about the social media infrastructure. Maybe they will say something.
Good. Ingmar, you have a question from the outside world.
Yes, I have many questions. So this is...
okay, let's just have a good one.
I try to moderate it as best as I can here. So I will allow 2 questions, actually. And one, how we're planning to comply with accessibility regulation. It should be accessible to disabled users. And I will say we need to improve a lot here from the version we're launching now. So that is something we're going to work on, of course. But the first version is not really optimized for everyone because we haven't had enough resources and time to do that. But it's a priority, of course. And I will also say, it's with the help of AI, there's a lot of possibilities. Today, when you post on social media, you should, but very few are doing it, write an alt image description for people that have a hard time to see. How many here are doing that? It's 3 people. I'm not one of them, unfortunately. That's very good. But with AI, I think those disabilities, those helps will definitely be able to improve. It's not what we have now, but what we plan to have in the roadmap. The other question, and it's a question, some are you asking it very kind, some are very frustrating asking it, and that is, when are we getting access?
So yeah, all right. I was going to come to that at the end, actually, but anyway.
We can take it now because it's a high frustration here, so we need to address it. So we have just, I think it was yesterday, got Google Play App Store to approve it, so you can download the app there. You need an invitation code, and for that you need to be on the wait list. And we will start with onboard with inviting not everyone at once, because that can be a little bit chaotic. We need to trim this. As I said, we are launching 6 months before we should. So we will start with you here in the room and the ones that registered for the digital event. So you will be among the first. And hopefully, if everything works, you will receive an invitation later today. And that means that if you have a Google phone, an Android, you can use it on the phone. If you have an Apple, you need to use the web version until Apple App Store has decided to do their work. They have already approved a previous version, but not the one we want to release. And we're totally dependent on 2 American tech companies to approve our app we are developing in Europe, launching in Europe, mainly for European users to start with. Isn't that absurd? But I don't think they have anything against us. It's just that they have many other things to do. They don't see a European social media as the highest priority yet. We will convince them that they should. So bear with us. We will roll out more and more invitation the coming days and the coming weeks. And if everything works well, we will be able to invite everyone. If it doesn't work well, we need to fix it, and we will invite on the go. So bear with us. But you here in the room, you will at least be invited. Thank you.
Good. And we're going to take one last question from this gentleman here, and then we start closing the show. And the drinks are already out, so stay calm.
Thank you. My name's John Moorhead from the Grassroots Network for Climate Justice. I won't ask you a question about your for-profit business model, because that boat has sailed. But I would like to mention, for example, the tree planting browser Ecosia, which I'm sure you will probably be going back to that. And what I think is particularly interesting is the fact that all the money is reinvested. That's, I think, a key point. But the question I did want to ask is about advertising and media partnerships, which you talked about. I was very glad to hear from Sherry to mention stakeholders. What I didn't hear, though, is that you were only, what I heard from you was that you're only consulting with the advertising industry. I think there are, at a minimum, the civil society and researchers who should also be focused on that.
100%.
So in terms of advertisers, and particularly of industries that are harming all of us, that's the question about how you will regulate that.
100%.
And can I just ask also about media? Because I would also like to hear to what extent you are making an effort to include independent, investigative media who don't perhaps have the reach. Yes, no, I saw that, but not on the independent media side, like Reporter and Le Courrier in Switzerland, for instance.
We want to include everyone. So thank you for the question. We want to have everyone on board, not just mainstream media, investigative journalism networks, everyone. So everyone is welcome. We also don't have any block lists. So if people ask me, oh, do you have already block lists? Do you don't want to have these people on the platform? We don't have block lists. So I'm a true believer in free speech. Of course, people need to stick to the guidelines and need to behave. If they don't and violate the guidelines, this is a different conversation, but we don't have block lists. Coming to your advertising question, we have on purpose regulators already in the advisory board. As you probably have seen, we have the German Federal Data Protection Commissioner in the advisory board and the former UK Information Commissioner, Elizabeth Denham. She is also on the board or the advisory board of a UK advertising association, and they are very strong in responsible advertising. So what we want to do is adopt advertising, but in a compliant and responsible way. So advertising will be labeled, it will be compliant with DSA, Online Safety Act, and so on and so forth. If then the question is, how do you want to be competitive with other platforms who do very super high targeted advertising? Don't you give away, don't you leave money on the table? I would counter that on our platform, advertisers can advertise to 100% humans. And this is an advantage as well. So on the one side, we will make advertising compliant with guidelines, also voluntarily, probably overly compliant. But on the flip side, the good thing is we can also attract advertisers and say, look, on our platform, you advertise to 100% humans. And it will be clearly labeled.
Can I just come back on that? Were you in possibly thinking that we might have some system whereby ExxonMobil can't advertise even if they meet advertising standard authority standards? In other words, that would be a clear ask from a climate action group, understandably, right? And for any of others that care about the
we already
atmosphere.
had discussions about that internally. I mean, I have to say, we are starting with advertising end of 2027, beginning of 2028. So this is not something that we are rolling out in the next couple of weeks or month. So we have time to consider that very thoughtfully, also with civil society, with academia. We already have a couple of professors on the advisory board, me included. So, and this is something what we also debate with the community. I mean, you're all early adopters, hopefully. You will join and contribute in the debate. Not only on the platform, we are also sending out to our users, if they consent, a monthly CEO update where we ask users and future users for their opinion. We have pollings, we ask for input, we ask for feedback. And this is something where we can ask the crowd also for. What is your opinion? Shall we allow advertising from Shell or not? So we haven't debated that. I mean, we have debated that, but we haven't decided finally. But this is something where we have at least 1.5 years to decide on.
Okay, now I've just opened up a can of worms here because everybody now wants to actually answer this question. Yeah. So, Sandrine, then Ingmar, and then we end, okay? Okay, great.
I don't think I've seen such a diverse advisory board. So I think that the reason I'm on this advisory board is because of the sustainability, climate, and in some ways democracy concerns. So I am a voice trying to bring in that vigilance that we don't move completely in the opposite direction of where we actually want to go. But I do take the very important point that we also want to ensure that we get back to real debates and real discussions. And that's not going to help in an echo chamber either. So I think we need to find a balance. So part is stakeholder engagement, which obviously is going to happen until end of 2027 as we discuss this. The other is to count on the advisory board that is incredibly diverse to bring in these different views.
Ingmar, briefly.
No, I just wanted to say that the biggest shareholder is the world's largest media for climate action. So we will use our power. I don't like oil, it's not a secret. But as Sandrine said, and Jan said, it's not black and white. I mean, if you take an oil company, for example, should we ban them to promote green fuel, fossil-free fuel? It's not a clear yes, it's not a clear no, it depends.
If you look at the science, it is a clear no. So.
Yeah, but if they develop an electric fuel that is not have something to do with oil extraction, it's another picture.
It's a longer debate, isn't it?
We're going, our approach is to do it in a way where we balance powers. Yeah. And I'm not giving up my climate values just because I'm standing here.
No, absolutely. And we've always said we would love to have an oil company, a big, big oil company on oil. We don't have time when they have a science-based target. So unfortunately, none of them have one, so we can't have them on. There we go. So let's wrap up with one last very brief question. When are we fully launching this W Social thingy?
So, beginning of next year. So that was the original plan. As Ingmar said, we met in December last year in Stockholm, and we thought, we have 1 year to build this in stealth mode, and then we go to the public beginning of 2027. On the way to dinner, we saw this Elon Musk post. He was frustrated about a DSA fine, and he said, literally on X, I want to eliminate the European Union. Immediately afterwards, we saw European politicians complaining on X about X and the fact that there's no alternative to X yet. And then Ingmar and I looked at each other and were like, we don't have a year. We have maximum 6 months. Then we decided collectively as a team, we give up Christmas holidays, skiing holidays, Easter holidays, weekends. We have been working day and night. Here you see some makeup to cover the dark eyes here. And we decided to launch the beta version now in June. Why we're doing that in June? Because we feel if we miss this time slot, we all know Europe. What is happening in July and August? People will hang out at Côte d'Azur, they will be hanging out in the mountains, they enjoy their long summer breaks. And then we are in September already. That means if we don't make it now to at least issue and publish the first beta version to bring people on board, to create the buzz, to bring on board the first leaders and institution and talk to people. We're doing also a roadshow in the next couple of days. We will be in Cannes, we will be in Paris, we will be in other European cities. In London as well. I forgot about that. So if we don't bring the action on the street right now, we will end up in September and look at the media landscape, look at what's happening around the globe, especially the news coming out from the US. We are not getting the functionalities any longer that the US people are getting. So, and I think it's not going to be better. My presumption is going to be worse. And I think we need to do something in Europe. We need to stand out. We need to stop talking, start building. Even if this version is not perfect, at least we are trying something, we are doing something. Please join W, use it during the summer breaks, share your opinions, your summer readings, start a lively debate. Then we do another roadshow in September, and then we're building more and a better version, and the real version is coming out in January next year at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Great. Which is why I've just done that, and why I invite you all heartily to come and have some drinks and a little nibble outside. Thank you very much for being here.